Welcome. I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. I hope you have your notepad and your pen ready because I want you to take notes. I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you will jot down some sort of action item that you can implement in your business today. Now, it may not be something that I recommend. It may not be a homework assignment, but hopefully as your mind is open and your mind is free and you're thinking of all the ways that you can improve your business, something I say might remind you of something completely off topic, and that's where you pause and you jot down a note that you're going to implement in your business today. That's what this is all about, implementation to drive your business forward. Discipline. Let me ask you this. Are you disciplined? Would you describe yourself as a disciplined individual? Would others describe you in that way? I would say that there is in no small measure a great deal of benefits to being disciplined when it comes to being in business. If you're in management, if you're aspiring to be in management, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, you need to be disciplined. And in fact, probably entrepreneurship selects naturally for disciplined individuals, but not necessarily. If you are looking at yourself and your introspection and you're being honest with yourself, would you fairly describe yourself as disciplined, and what would make you say that? So let's look at what is discipline, and what is the definition. And I don't look this stuff up in the dictionary before I say it. So these are my definitions so that we know what I'm talking about in our discussion today. When you're disciplined, that is the I was about to say, it is the discipline. It is the propensity, maybe. It is the willingness to do those difficult things even when you don't want to do them. That would indicate discipline. In other words, you're able to exercise self-control. Think about those things that you do on a daily basis that you don't mind doing. It doesn't take a great deal of discipline to do those things. That's why I say that discipline is, I guess, most associated with doing those things that are difficult or that you may not naturally want to do. I mean, they're not necessarily those things that are leisurely and comfortable to do. To step outside your comfort zone, to do something that is difficult, these things require discipline. They require self-control. And so look at your business and think about what are those best practices that will lead towards success. Make a list of those, brainstorm those, and are you doing those consistently? If you're not, then we can agree today that maybe you need to exercise a little bit more discipline. So is discipline something you're just born with? You either have it or you don't have it, like other types of talents? Or is this something that we can develop? Of course, I wouldn't be talking to you today about this if I didn't think that you could develop discipline. And some people who would have earlier in life not described themselves as disciplined, yours truly, I very frequently took the easy way out on everything that, not always, but very frequently I took the easy way out in a lot of things. I was maybe could be described as lazy, and I would avoid those things that took me out of my comfort zone. And yet you can develop this over time, so you can become more disciplined. Right now I would describe myself as very disciplined. I have an ability to exercise self-control and to complete those tasks that I know will be important toward my success, and I can complete those very habitually, day in and day out. And so since we can agree that this is something you can develop, it would behoove us to think about how can we develop discipline? How does a person become more disciplined? And think of it from a perspective of conditioning. You have to condition yourself, like anything, to develop any habit, to develop self-control and discipline, you need to condition yourself. And how we condition ourselves, like Pavlov's dog, is either through reward, where they fed the dog every time they rang the bell, they fed the dog, and then eventually he began salivating just when the bell was ringing. I don't have to, I guess, review the whole Pavlov's dog example with you. But human beings and most, I suppose, all creatures are averse to pain, and they move in the direction of pleasure. So in order to condition yourself, you want to seek out pleasure or reward yourself when you're doing those things that you want to do and you want to develop a good habit around. And you want to, I guess, punish yourself. You want to administer some sort of punishment to yourself when you are failing to do those things. And eventually you will form the habit. They say that it may be 30 days, or let's say it may be a little over 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks that you're doing something daily, and then you've created a new habit. So think of how you can do this. Think of what things you want to reward yourself with. Now, I don't think you need to reward yourself with great big things every time, but I do think it's worth taking a look, and again, for your homework today, maybe write down some of the things that you really like. It could be something that you eat, some sort of comestible item, something edible that you quite enjoy, and maybe you're going to say, when I do not do the following items that I want to develop some discipline surrounding, I want to develop these habits, then I will abstain from eating these treats or from eating this particular food that I like. It might be, your favorite meal might be pizza or a steak or something like that. And you're going to abstain from that during those times that you did not exercise the self-discipline that you aspire to develop. And conversely, when you do those things, you may give yourself a reward. And then over time, you can taper those rewards down to being smaller and smaller. Maybe you're going to reward yourself with some sort of junk food for the mind, like that you're consciously trying to avoid. It might be some kind of YouTube or social media indulgence, and you say, you know what, just as a small reward, I'm going to allow myself to indulge in that, and that will help to condition you. So think of these things. I don't know if these were great examples that I gave, but I look back and I think, well, what have I done to reward myself that has developed this discipline? And ultimately, I think it's been more about the punishment side of things, where I just mentally, that if we talk about something that is sort of inherent to who I am, intrinsic to my personality, I would say that I feel guilty. I'm my own worst enemy, my own worst critic is what I'm trying to say. And therefore, if I don't do something that I know I should do, even though I described to you that earlier in life, that was something that I had a tendency to do, I would feel guilty about it. I would think about it a lot and everything. And that was sort of a punishment, self-inflicted punishment. And never wanting to feel that way, I guess the reward for me was removing that feeling, that nagging feeling that I would have if I didn't do things. And to this day, I can tell you, if I skip doing something I know I should do, it bothers me. Even if I'm not conscious of it, I get this back of the brain nagging feeling, or in the stomach, what is bothering me, and I think about it and say, oh yeah, I didn't do that thing or whatever. And I just don't like that. I don't enjoy that at all. And so to avoid that sort of punishment, that self-inflicted punishment, then I make sure that I do the things. And I can tell you that, for example, with workouts, I've missed one workout in, I don't know how many years, several years, probably 4 or more years. I've only missed one workout. Now, I say missed one workout, that doesn't mean that I have the ideal schedule of workouts. I typically will work out 4 times per week, and only one time, and I had a pretty good excuse for doing that. We had a very, well, I won't get into it, but I had a personal reason that I did not work out a particular day, but that was the discipline. Also, I do this thing, I do cold showers. Now, if that sounds ludicrous to you, I can tell you that I didn't come up with the concept. I heard that there were benefits to this. In fact, I initially started this based on what were purported to be physical benefits to taking cold showers. Now, I think that there is not very compelling evidence about all the physical benefits. I'm not denying that there are physical benefits. I hope there are, and I think there probably are, but it's a little sketchy. Anything that I've looked into that talks about the physical benefits to your health of cold showers are maybe not as grandiose as I once thought they might be. However, I keep them up in the hopes that I'm getting some physical benefits, but also because of the mental toughness and the discipline that it forms. See, when I have something else that's difficult to do, I can frame it in reference, in relation to how difficult it is to just face the cold shower. And I can tell you, I'm in Canada, so those people who are watching who may be in Texas and you're in the southern states, with all due respect, I've seen some of these people saying, oh, we do cold showers, and I've been to some of these warmer climates, and you don't get cold water. Your showers do not produce what I would describe as really cold water. The water in my neck of the woods can get down to 3, I've heard 3, I've not measured it at 3, but 5 degrees Celsius. So, just above freezing. And so that's really cold. But I digress, talking so much about the cold shower. It's a discipline, and it's one of those things that I kind of feel like I wuss out if I don't do it. And in fact, I can't even tell you how long it's been since I've experienced that feeling. It's probably going close to 7 years now, at least 6 years where I don't skip the cold showers and I don't have warm showers. So that again is just a way that I've decided to help me develop discipline. And I do that with a lot of things. I gave you a couple of more trivial examples. Maybe neither of those are trivial. They've made an impact, but I've conditioned myself and built up my mental resilience to the point where I'm very disciplined with much smaller things, much easier things that don't take me quite out of the comfort zone. And let me tell you, taking a 5 degrees Celsius shower takes a lot of mental willpower and discipline. And to do that day in and day out, and again, first thing in the morning, you're starting your day miserably. And I'm not talking about just turning the, I'm really going on about this cold shower, but I don't just turn the cold water on and just standing there for a few seconds. I do the whole shower, the shampoo, the conditioner, the soap, everything with the cold, the rinsing, everything cold. And so you can imagine, if you've never tried this, try that today. Try that tomorrow if you've never tried that. And then you can appreciate what I mean when I say, in comparison, anything else that I need to do in a day seems like, oh, that's no big deal. That's not going to be as physically or mentally challenging as how I started my day. So that was one way that I conditioned myself to develop more discipline. Now, you don't have to choose cold showers, and maybe you're not into fitness. I would recommend that you leverage the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, but there's all sorts of things I could go through as for examples that I use to, or actually the result of discipline. It's a chicken and an egg thing. By practicing this over and over, once you form this habit, like I said, 30, 45 days, all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're 2 months in, 3 months in, all of a sudden you're a year, and then it's 2 years. Now you're counting the discipline and what you've done, these best practices, in years. And when you're measuring in that form, you're making huge impact, because none of these things really makes a big difference from one day to the next, but over the course of time, they can make immeasurable difference. Don't rely strictly on willpower to make these things happen. So I would remind you to get back to the idea of rewarding yourself. And I know I focused on the negative, on punishing myself, and how I sort of self-inflict punishment because out of feeling of guilt or wussing out on something that I didn't do that I know I should do. But I've also employed rewards. And for me, the reason the example came to mind is I like food rewards. I like, treats. So just like a dog, I like my treats. Those are compelling in terms of moving and adapting my behavior. So think about it. What are the things that you like? And I'll think that, like, on Saturdays, I have a meal every Saturday evening without fail, unless it's a special occasion or families getting together or something, and if there might be a reason I deviate that. But I have 2 steaks, count them, 2 steaks every Saturday evening because I love steak. That's my favorite meal. I have good grass-fed beef, and shout out to Trails End Beef, my ranchers. They do great work. They raise great animals. And anyway, I love my steak, so I make sure that I reward myself on Saturdays. I would, I suppose, punish myself if I did not do something I wanted to do. I also, on Sundays, I make sure that I have particular meals that I really, really enjoy. I've made a point of that and make Sunday my relaxing day. But if I didn't do what I was supposed to do throughout the week, I know how I operate, and I know how I sort of plan my life. I would intentionally withhold from myself the rewards. And I'd say, well, you didn't really earn this. But it's hard for me to give recent examples. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging here. I'm trying to give you encouragement, if you would describe yourself not as very disciplined, that you can turn a corner where I can't really remember where I didn't do some of the things that I'm supposed to do. They become habits. It starts with discipline, and you don't use willpower in and of itself. Now, you might, for the first few days, just suffer through something, and then start to give yourself these little rewards. And my examples might not compel you, so make a list of the things that you most enjoy. It might be going out, enjoying yourself, evening on the town. I don't want to throw out a whole bunch of examples because each of us are different, what motivates us. And think about for yourself what you would like for a reward, and then give yourself that. And then sort of titrate down, use a little bit, taper off of the reward, and then make it something maybe once a week or once a month or even once a year, depending on what we're talking about here, that you're going to reward yourself for making sure you're doing. In business, what kinds of things should you be disciplined in doing? I talk about sticking to making sure that you're focused on your strengths. That is a discipline. And if you aren't careful, you'll get the tyranny of the urgent will come in and displace the most important things. And you won't do those things that you're best at. You'll start running around worried about your inbox or less important things or easier things or things that don't take you out of your comfort zone. Also, what about strict financial record keeping and reviews and reports, things like this? So again, today's homework, I'd also like you to make a list of those things in business that it would pay to have more discipline to do. What about your content creation? Are you writing your blog? Are you creating videos? Are you researching things that are going to help you to nurture your leads from a content creation point of view? Think about how your business operates and what things that you might think sort of are a pain in the butt for you to do, or they take a little bit of effort and you continually procrastinate when it comes to doing those things, and then start exercising discipline on those. Pick the most important ones on the list. Pick at least one and say you're going to do it. You could also do something like I said, with my cold showers example. You could choose something in your life and say, I'm going to do this. I'm not even sure what good will come of it, but it's difficult. It's not deleterious to my life. It's not going to hurt me, but it's going to really challenge me. I don't like doing this. It might be something that you are forcing yourself to eat. I've got another one. I don't want to gross you out here, but there is something that I acquired a taste for. I really enjoy eating now that I didn't like at all. But you could choose something like that. You could say, I don't even know that this is going to improve my business, but what it's going to do is going to teach me how to develop discipline and how to execute good habits. Remember, the discipline day in and day out will become habitual, where it becomes easier and easier and less reliant on any sort of willpower. It just becomes part of your lifestyle. It's your best practices. It's what you do. That's what I wanted to convince you of the necessity to do today. So I've given you a few suggestions of homework assignments, things to brainstorm, and ask yourself, even if you describe yourself as being disciplined, are there some things in business that you should be doing but you're not, or you're procrastinating? You've thought about them maybe in years gone by. Maybe you've listened to videos like this and you're like, yeah, I really need to do that. Or you went to some sort of seminar, some training, something in school. Maybe it was a suggestion that one of your staff members or another stakeholder put forward, and you're like, yes, I really should do that, but you've been putting it off. That may, call into question whether you're as disciplined as you thought. Ask yourself why, and try to take some of the tips that I'm talking about today in terms of conditioning yourself to become more disciplined, to exercise greater self-control. That's where I want to leave it today. I hope you got something out of this. And give me some suggestions of how you might become more disciplined, or what things detract from a disciplined nature. Is discipline even really that important as it comes to business or life in general and being as effective as you can be? Leave a comment that we can all learn from, because we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.